Hi, my name is Zachary Miller, and I'm going to be consulting the supervisors and managers about OSHA, what OSHA is, and a little bit about how to implement it. So as I mentioned, during our training, here's a few of our objectives. We have 3 objectives. So first we're going to go over what is OSHA, and then we're going to go over what you guys need to do to stay in compliance, to make sure your company's in compliance with OSHA. And then I'm going to share with you guys how you can effectively implement OSHA with your employees and company. So first, I'd like to start with the game of Jeopardy, and there's a few reasons why I like to do that. One, to keep you guys engaged. This isn't another boring OSHA training. I'm going to keep you guys engaged, and this will be a little competitive between each other. So I'd like for you guys to split up in 2 teams from the left side of the room and the right side of the room, and we're going to play this game of Jeopardy. Okay, so who is OSHA? So OSHA is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. It was enacted in 1970 to ensure that all companies in the U.S. Were safe. And when I say safe, I mean safe for not only the workers that are working there, but also the people that go at that workplace. So this could be customers, clients, consultants, anyone. So if someone's visiting, like a realtor, someone's visiting a property, they'd have to wear a hard hat. That's part of OSHA. The safety standards, as I mentioned, are for customers and clients. A lot of people think that it's just for the people that work there. For more interesting facts, just click the link below, but we're going to keep going on. So our first big topic is PPEs. So PPEs are personal protective equipment. And what these are the safety equipment that we're going to have your employees wear as well as you to ensure that you're doing your job safely. So let's say a scaffolder, they're going to need to wear a hard hat, a harness, things like that. Or someone that's working on the street, they're going to have to wear that high-vis jacket so that they don't, so all the drivers are aware of them. And PPE should be provided for all employees to do their jobs. So at first, you guys are going to provide each employee with PPEs. You're going to pay for them as well. And then you're going to have to estimate how long those PPEs actually last. Because some last longer than others. A worker's boots may last only a year to 2 years depending on their job. And it's your job to evaluate how long do they last so that you can give them another allowance after a year to buy another pair. The company will not, you guys as a company will not replace an employee's PPEs if they're lost or stolen, but only the worn ones. So PPE continued. So these are following a few of the PPEs that your employees might wear. So we have the high-vis vest, we have the gloves to make sure that they don't get cuts or anything. And we have the goggles, maybe liquid or gases, and then this could be work boots, fire-resistant clothing for welders. So anything like that would be considered a PPE. And not all employees need the same PPEs. It's important to remember that. Because for instance, Steve from accounting is not going to need to wear a hard hat while he's entering cash flows onto his computer. So you're going to have to see what employees need what PPEs and what allowances you're going to give them. So environmental safety. Environmental safety is sort of like a preventative measure that we're going to do to prevent bad things from happening. Or if bad things do happen, kind of what do we do? So it's our goal to ensure that all employees are aware of the risks that are at hand at the workplace. So we're going to have to go through and take a walkthrough of this place and see what are the high-risk areas for you guys. Are there often wet floors in this area? We're going to have wet floor signs at hand to set up. Or, are the ceilings lower? Is that a risk for individual to hit their head on? We're going to have signs for that. Do the steps, these are a few examples. So are the steps steep? We're going to have tape on the floor so that they can see and not trip or anything. This also includes having an emergency rescue team at hand if something bad does happen. And fire extinguishers, my last point is fire extinguishers. We're going to have to see how far of a distance, how many feet we need to have them apart from each other. So these are a few of the environmental safety signs. I just wanted to give a few examples These may not pertain to your company, but this is a few that may potentially be at your workplace. So whistleblowing. Whistleblowing is a lack of safety at the environment. So if you or one of your employees feel like the workplace is not safe for them, or it doesn't meet the health standards as from OSHA, then they can contact the HR representative that takes care of that, and then or the OSHA representative and whistleblow. And here's a quick video on whistleblowing, and we'll play it here for a second. And just a friendly reminder that whistleblowing is anonymous. You will not have to worry about retaliation or anything. So emergency plans. So we're gonna have to perform a what-if analysis of what if something bad does happen? What if an explosion happens? What if gases leak? What if there's a water leak? We're gonna have to perform a what-if analysis on what we would do. So we're gonna have to have fire drills, gas drills, things like that, similar to what high schools and schools do, because we want to ensure these lives are very, very valuable. And we want to make sure that if something bad does happen, we can mitigate the risks for those individuals on where to go, who do we call when that bad thing does happen, things like that. So we're going to have you guys practice these drills, and also we're going to have your employees sign a waiver on acknowledging that they know what to do when the bad thing does happen. So fire prevention plans. So if a fire does arrive, how will we prevent it? As I mentioned before, OSHA is kind of also to mitigate when bad things do happen from it getting worse. We want to save as many lives as possible, reduce as much damage as possible at the workplace, things like that. So we'll have to perform risk evaluation and see where the fires could probably come from, and also locate where do we want our fire extinguishers. So hazardous materials. So hazardous materials could include the following: ammonia, gas, toxics, explosives. We need to ensure that our employees are aware of what the hazardous materials are, and we provide them with the proper protection to handle and transport those hazardous materials. Here's a quick sign on what we'll have in the back of the trucks for transporting hazardous materials. And also, this is not only for us, but for the drivers around us to be aware that there is toxic hazardous materials on this. So the last segment of our training is the steps to implementing the training. Prior to training, you guys are going to need to categorize your employees by what training they're going to need. As mentioned, Steve from accounting is not going to need the same training as Joe from scaffolding. So you're going to want to split them up on what training they're going to need. You're going to need to find an ideal location for the training, preferably somewhere with AC, a projector, and seats, enough room for everyone. Training is, no one likes training, right? So we want to make this as enjoyable as possible for your employees. So step 2, the requirements for the instructor. I took a couple quotes from the OSHA training handbook on what the requirements are for the proper instructor. Step 3, these are the requirements for the training materials. So we want to ensure that we're not just giving our employees random textbooks over safety standards or anything, or random resources like Wikipedia from the internet to prepare them for the exams. We want all the resources to be acknowledged by the OSHA, and preferably from the website. Step 4, into implementing the training, we're going to perform an assessment and an exam. You're going to give your employees a certificate. Here's a simple example: a certificate of them passing the exam, and you guys are going to need to keep that on your records for 5 years. And so here we're going to take a quick quiz to see what you guys learned over this PowerPoint.